Good afternoon. Welcome to Craft and Chat. It's Tuesday the 7th. Yes, 7th of February 2022. I'm Amanda Fowler and I am live here on the Inspiring Inking Facebook page and YouTube channel. If you're here watching live, please can you do me a light and sound check? Make sure you can see and hear me clearly. And if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come and join us. There will be about 20 minutes or so of chatting, and then we will get on with some crafting. Now, I have all sorts of things to tell you. The first is thank you for all your good wishes, and I'm so sorry I wasn't here last week. I had a sickness bug and it wiped me out for days. I was kind of, laying out on the sofa watching movies, which, is most unlike me. So thank you for your patience while I kind of worked through that and got myself better. Hi, Stella. Texas is in the house. Laura's here as well. Hello, Laura. And Chris and Angela in sunny Newbury. Mum's here as well, Pauline and Karen and Jan and Donna and Margaret and Anne. Brilliant. And saying sound and vision is fine in the far-flung corners of Suffolk. Good morning, Beverly. Hi, Michelle. Awesome. I've got hiccups now. So I am going to click a few things whilst I'm talking to you to see if I can get something to put on the screen. Because I printed I printed something out. So you're going to have to bear with me a second. I am all at 6 and 7s because today I've had my first in-person class for a little while. And yeah, it was a wonderful morning. I met some crafters I knew, new crafters I hadn't seen for years. It was absolutely wonderful. Got a new haul. I'll tell you all about that in a minute. But needless to say, it's been a busy morning and I've kind of dashed home, had a sandwich, and I'm here. So it's like, So I don't really want to have to go downstairs to go and get this flyer. So I'm just going to see if I can do it. Let's see. Slides on my computer. Second release, open. I'm amazing myself with my technology skills. Yes, I did it. Okay, right. I'm back in the room now. I can see this PDF, so we're all good. So hello, Lorraine. Michelle said we had a lovely morning. We did have a lovely morning. It was fab. So we made 6 cards this morning, and actually one of the cards I'm going to show you in a minute. That we're actually is going to be the crafting that I'm going to do today. But it was a new haul to me, and it was just lovely. The sun was shining. I know it was frosty this morning, but the sun was shining, and yeah, everything went swimmingly, which is wonderful. So it's for those of you that are local to me, or come on a road trip. You can do that too. It's the first Tuesday of the month, and it's in a place called Cattersfield, which is like 2 minutes away from my house. So yeah, it's lovely. We had a great time, but I was obviously fretting because I had two sheets of notes of things to remind people about and talk to them about. Because, like I said, there were new crafters to me. There were people that I hadn't seen for a long time. So, all sorts of different things. So, yeah, it was really cool. Jeanette, hello, hello. Western Australia is in the house. We are very global today, very global. So, how are we all doing? Good afternoon, Roz. How are you doing? Yeah, how are we all doing? So we've got through January, okay? I always it feels, am I the only one? I don't think I am, but January always feels such a long month. It just seems to take forever. And I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because we're kind of, a lot of people have some time off during the Christmas period. So it kind of feels like it makes it longer. I don't know. But we're into February, and one thing I really want to know is, how are your gardens doing? All of our crocuses are out and full bloom. The daffodils are currently 8 inches, 10 inches tall. The full size ones, not my little mini ones, because I have little, I think they're called tete-a-tete, little tiny ones. They're not up yet, but the big ones are up. Lots of the trees in the garden are budding. Even the grass is growing, which kind of is all a bit interesting, because my lawn suffered so badly last summer. It was so hot. There are great big huge patches. Not that the lawn's huge, but there's at one point 2/3 of the lawn was just bare. It was horrendous. So in the autumn, Brian and I have scraped it and reseeded it and stuff. And there are little shoots. Little shoots. Oh, Tina's saying there's no video. So Jeanette and Lorraine are both watching on YouTube. So is anyone else? Tina, did you find me? Did you find the picture? Oh, technology is such a pain. Brilliant. That is a top tip, Tina. She said she went out and came back in again. It's amazing what happens if you do a reset. So the same for those of you that sometimes have problems with sound and things in Facebook, particularly. Sometimes if you log out, and actually log out as opposed to just shut the window down, log out and log back in again, it miraculously happens. So, okay. So let me just double check. I just need to check that. Ooh. My mouse isn't my mouse isn't mousing. That is not even a real thing, is it? But it just wasn't moving. Yeah, my Wi-Fi's off, so that's good. I'm plugged in to the Wi-Fi, so I'm plugged in to the router, so it should be okay. Good. Okay, so lots of garden updates. Let's have a look. Chris doesn't do gardening if she can help it. Anne has got lots of snowdrops, but the other bulbs are only up 2 or 3 inches. East Coast is always slower. Yeah, well, you get the wind from the North Sea coming in. That's, yeah. And bear in mind, we are almost as far south as you can go because we're right Obviously, Penzance and Cornwall's further south, but we are quite far south. Margaret saying they have hellebores shooting up and showing colour. I love those. Christmas roses, aren't they? Hellebores. Tina's sorted. Chris has got both on and they're okay. No. Donna's had snow again in Oz. 3/4 of an hour away. Picture and sound is good. I am getting all the way around to Australia. That still blows my mind. It blows my mind that I'm sat here chatting to you and you're basically the other side of the world. Hi, Deborah. Alberta's in the house. More snow coming in Alberta as well. Teresa's saying her garden's still dormant. So, Teresa, whereabouts are you in the UK or in the world? Jeanette's saying fruit trees. Fruit trees are doing well. Everything else is scorched. Oh, I'm so sorry. 40-degree heat. So where are you, Jeanette? Hi, Carton Co. Germany's here as well. Hello, hello, hello. Anne's here. Anne's from up north. How's your garden doing, Anne? Donna spent 2.5 hours cutting the lawn on the ride-on mower. No snow in Maryland. Washington State. Oh, so Teresa's in Washington State. Yeah, so you're quite a bit further north than we are, aren't you? So, and I'm guessing you'll probably, yeah, still be quite chilly. And hellebores suffered in the heat last summer, but they're hanging on in there. Yeah, I think I am going to have lost some of my herbaceous perennials. My peonies, though, are all sprouting. So we had a frost last night, quite a hard frost last night. When I got up, it was like -2 this morning, which, you know, compared to everyone else's temperatures, is not very cold. But, you know, for us right now, it's quite cold. But all of my peonies are kind of, I don't know, a couple inches. The shoots are beginning to poke through. So, yeah, I hope that the frost isn't going to kill them off. That's not going to be good. Okay. So, if you've got any suggestions of what I can grow in my vegetable garden this year, I'm all ears. Because last year we grew leeks, onions, garlic, beetroot. This is all outside. Beetroot, carrots, radishes, potatoes, parsnips. And we had the worst crop ever. So basically what happened to begin with was the leeks got rust. And that basically transferred onto the shallots and the onions and the garlic, and we lost the whole lot. It all died. And then, oh yeah, we had lettuces and like pick and come again leaves as well. We lost all of that because of the heat. The radishes and the beetroot all bolted, and that was all a disaster. So basically, we ended up with potatoes. And the tomatoes. So we had a different compost to the one that we had, and all our tomato plants were stunted. It's just like, honestly, you just think, why am I bothering? So the tomatoes are in the greenhouse. So it was a disaster. So we went from having the previous year having so much food that we were delivering it to all the neighbors, that it was basically nothing. So anybody that grows veg, any suggestions, I'm all ears. We have an asparagus bed, So there's a whole plot that's just for asparagus, basically, because we love asparagus and it's so expensive. So we've got a section that is just asparagus. And that didn't do that well either, really, last year, to be honest. It's just the weather. But hopefully it'll be better. So suggestions. That would be awesome. Because there must be some of you must be veggie gardeners as well. Oh, I will just mention the eagle-eyed amongst you will quite often you ask about my nail polish. This is the color changing nail polish. So I'm quite warm at the moment. So it's kind of a pale blue. But later on, if I get a bit colder, then it'll go dark blue. Yeah, Tina's suggesting putting new soil down. So yeah, so the garden itself is fairly new because we during COVID we completely changed our veg plots and we make our own compost, and you know we put a lot of compost and organic matter and everything in it. So the soil itself is okay. It was just it was a combination of us being really, really busy. So occasionally the garden didn't get tended as much as it should have done, really. But also, you know, just the things like the rust and stuff, it was just one of those things. And saying there's quite a lot of asparagus fields near us. They look weird. Yeah, they do. They do look weird. But yeah, I adore asparagus. But you can only cut asparagus for 6 weeks. So from when you cut your first stem, you only cut it for 6 weeks and then that's it. And then you have to let it grow on. And it makes this beautiful fern leafy stuff. It's really good. Right. So Donna's suggesting beans. We climbing French beans. Yeah, they were they didn't like the sun either. So yeah, so they will be a definite because they're amazing. So we have climbing French beans. Donna's suggesting zucchini, courgette, corn, and broccoli. So we don't have enough space for corn, because you need a big enough space. But courgette we do. Broccoli, that's good. That's a good shout. I will go looking. So I've got my seed catalogues and everything. So I just need to decide, really. Brian and I'll sit and work it all out. Okay, so I'll just wait for you to add some more suggestions for what I can grow. So what is happening in the world of Stampin' Up? So mini catalogue, that's running. Annual catalogue, that's running. What did Amanda say 2 weeks ago about buying your re-inkers? Somebody can put it in the chat. It's been 5 years since Stampin' Up refreshed their colours. I started saying this months ago. I think something is coming. Stampin' Up have hinted, but said they are not giving us any more information until the beginning of March. I do know that 2 colours, one of which is actually one of my favourite colours ever, a colour called Pretty Peacock, and another colour called Lost Lagoon, they are both blue, I'm very excited, are coming in a paper that is launching in March. So you don't have to be a genius to guess that something might be happening. But I can't tell you what it is because I don't know. So What does that mean for you guys? It means if you are placing an order and you have ink pads without a re-inker, yeah, so hang on. Ooh. I always say you buy an ink pad, you buy the re-inker at the same time, okay? Because you can guarantee that you'll be using your favorite color, whatever color that is, and eventually it runs out of ink. And if you haven't got a re-inker, you are gonna be sad. So this is your mission. You need to go and check what you've got. And if you haven't got a re-inker for it, put it on your next order, preferably before the end of February. So why the end of February? Well, if Stampin' Up are going to refresh the colours, change things around, bring some new stuff, chances are they will have to take something away. Again, I don't know. But I want you to have a re-inker for your ink pad. And what will happen is as soon, literally, as soon as it's announced, people will buy all the re-inkers. And then you'll miss out. And I don't want you to miss out. So what I do want you to do, though, is to get into the habit. You never buy one of these without that. Always buy them together. And then you've always got it. And you don't have to worry about it. So you can sit there all happy and going, ha, I did that because Amanda told me to do it. When I talk about this next year, because I will. Because not only do I think, that there's going to be a colour switcheroo, but these colours, these colours here, this 5, so that is polished pink, pale papaya, evening evergreen, soft succulent, and fresh freesia, in theory, are leaving as well. So they might come into the main colours. They might not, but they will go as well. So if you've got any of those 5 ink pads, they are definitely being replaced. So don't miss out. Don't miss out. Tina's saying, oh boy, they just did a refresh for the 30th anniversary. Yeah, Tina, this year's the 35th. It's been 5 years since we've had a refresh. It's a long time. It's a long time. So let's have a look. Lots of comments here. Jeanette saying tomatoes do well in the heat. Here in Australia, they grow like weeds. Yeah, normally, honestly, Jeanette, we grow so many tomatoes. But it was the compost it was a different type of compost and they just didn't like it. So we're going back to a new one. So in Hesse, have I said that right? Not sure. We've got some snow. But Carton Co likes the winter, but is doing all her crafts in spring colours. Awesome. So Deborah's saying colour refresh. Donna's saying could be a change. Carton Co think a change is coming. Deborah's saying she's worrying about what they might take away. I know. So you never know what's going to go. Joy is saying she learnt the hard way. She always orders them both at the same time. So very pleased they're bringing Lost Lagoon back. Yeah, I kind of like Lost Lagoon, but it's Pretty Peacock that I adore because it's a tealy blue. It's just my shade of blue. But I will show you in a couple of weeks. We've got some new products coming out in March, so I'll show you them a bit closer to the time. Really pretty papers and things. So very excited. Good afternoon, Susan. Yeah, Leslie's saying climbing French beans sound good. They are amazing. Okay, so I've told you, I've wiggled my fingers and said, sort out your re-inkers. I've told you about the catalogues. Celebration is still running. You've got till the end of February to get your free stuff. £45 or multiples of £45 will get you free products. If you join my team for £99, you can pick £170 worth of products. If you join my team for £125, you can have £170 worth of products and a mini cut and emboss machine in white or blue, whatever your preference. It's an incredible deal. I was talking to a couple of customers this morning at class about it. I don't understand why I have customers right now. I think you should all join. It's just such an amazing deal, and you get a discount on your products going forwards as well. So if you're interested, you want to hear more and check the rules and regulations and all that kind of stuff, because I understand it's it's something that you need to consider. Send me an email, amanda@inspiringinking.com, and I'll arrange to either give you a call or we can chat over email, whichever works for you best. You can only join my team if you are in the UK, Ireland, France, Germany, Austria, the Netherlands, or Belgium. It's like seven different countries. If you are in America, Canada, Australia, or New Zealand, I have demonstrator friends who would love to welcome you into their teams, and I can point you in their direction. So that is that. Now, there is a second release of Celebration items. I'm going to see if I can get the technology to work. Ta-da! Can you see that? Let's just see. So I've taken me away. So there are some new Celebration items that you can pick. So if you've already got what you want from the little book, these are additional ones. So there's some papers, there's the brilliant Hive 3D embossing folder, there's a couple of kits, there's some ribbon, there's some punches, all sorts of different things. Excuse me. So do check that out. When you place your order online, it will automatically tell you about your rewards. So it will just kind of generate, and then you can pick what there is. At the moment, there is everything here in Europe. So I can't speak for the rest of the world because we all have different warehouses. But here in Europe, everything is still available. So that's really cool. Okay, so today I am going to be showcasing this, which is in the country. So it's a celebration set, and it's a really, really cool. It's 2 scenes, and you've got a sort of steps going up to like a cottage door, and this is the one I'm going to be using. So I'm going to flip the camera around and let's get started. Da-da-da. There we go. Let me move my mouse mat out of the way, have a slurp of tea. I've got puppies on my, I don't know whether you can see that, puppies on my cup today. There's a little bone there, like on the inside. Very cool. Right. So what I thought I would do today is go over a few of the, I've got so much stuff here, a few of the options for a colouring in stamp set. So you often find that some people love colouring in and other people don't love colouring in. And oftentimes it's purely down to them not being sure what tools to use or how to go about using different things. So what I thought I would do is show you a couple of ways of colouring in. So I've got duplicates of pencils here because this card actually is one of the cards that we did at class today. So let me get the stamp. So the first thing to say is if I'm doing any kind of watercoloring, anything that I'm going to be putting, water or these blender pens, which I'll talk about in a second, onto the card, I use this, and I don't know how well the camera will be able to pick this up, but this is called shimmery white card. It's not white in the truest sense of the word. I always think it looks closer to vanilla, so that's white, and that's vanilla. So if you see, it says it's called shimmery white, but I always match it with vanilla. So it's a labeling thing. I think with Stampin' Up, sometimes they call things certain names. Okay. So, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the basics on this piece of paper, and then I'm going to make a couple of cards and just show you how quick it can be. But what I want to do is just do the basics bit first. So the first thing is our standard ink colors are water-based. It actually says it here, water-based dye ink, which means if you put water on these inks, they will run, they will bleed. So that's good to know because we can use that to our advantage. And let me just show you how cool that is, how detailed it is. So you can use that to your advantage by just colouring over with a wet paintbrush, and you can make like a sepia look. So I've got two types of water brushes here. These are the aqua painters that we used to have. These are called water painters. They do exactly the same thing. And equally, you can just get yourself a paintbrush and a pot of water. I use water painters basically because I'm so messy that if I have a pot of water on the table, I will knock it over. That's why my tea is way over there, so I can't touch it. So I've stamped in early espresso, and what I can do with my aqua painter is just go over the top and make a vintage scene. So basically, that is just the very basics that you can do. It's so easy because you just go over the top of it. Okay, so if I stamp it again, if you want a sepia look, but not quite as washed out, You can use the water painter in a more controlled way. And basically, there's no colour on this water painter. Each time it touches a stamped image, it lifts up that colour. But this is such a fast way of getting the colour. Like so. So you've got a full watercolour wash here, and then a kind of more artsy colour there. You can also, again, I'm using the early espresso again. Use these. So for me, a water painter is more about soft, fluid, loose kind of wash areas. A blender pen, so that's the name there, blender pen, is a pen. They come in a set of 3. I've only got a couple here, but come in a set of 3. And inside they have glycerin and other magical chemicals. And basically what they do is they blend the water-based inks. So with this stamped image, I can use a blender pen and go over these areas as well. Now I'm just on this grass, I'm just going to do exactly the same as I did with the water painter, and you'll be able to see sort of the difference. This doesn't move the ink as much. It gives you a softer look. Can you see compared to that one? So this has lifted the ink quite a lot. This has barely lifted it. Let me just go over the trees and you'll be able to see. So you've got the 3 different looks there. So this obviously is a full wash. You've used the aqua painter here, and then you've got the more controlled blender pen. Now, with both the blender pen and the water brush, you can use your ink pad as a paint palette. So if you close up your ink pad, squash it, you'll get ink in the lid. So you can use your blender pen and pick up the ink from the lid. Don't put your blender pen onto your ink pad directly. You'll end up with white spots because the chemicals will go from here onto your ink pad. So always squash it into the lid. And then with your blender pen, you can colour and keep going, keep going, keep going. I've got a little bit more ink on there. And look at the shading that you can get from just one dip of the pen through. Or you can use your water brush and do the same. And again, you'll get a different effect. And you can see more clearly from here and here the difference between using a blender pen and using a the aqua painter with the ink. So that's just using your normal inks. We have other colouring tools. We have pastels, which if you'd like me, I can show you them another craft and chat. Let me know. But I'm just going to show you the watercolor pencils. Now, they come in, there's 2 different sets. They have got loads and loads and loads of pigment in them. So they're just really easy to use because the color blends easily. So let me just show you. Put a couple of patches of, what's this? Balmy blue, I think. Yeah, balmy blue. So let me just clean my water brush. Clean my blender pen. So with the water brush, I'm just going over the top. And basically, sort of the water is kind of melting the pencil, I guess. And it's just giving me a really soft image. And I can use the blender pen and it will blend the color, but it will be more intense. So you can see there 2 differences. Okay. I'm hoping that kind of makes sense. Now, if you're not going to do this kind of sepia look, and on one of the cards I am going to do that in a second, but if you want to use multiple colors, which is obviously why I've got these, then you need to use this ink or heat emboss your image. So Stays On is a permanent ink. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It stays on, and we can then go in with the water brush and color in. And this won't happen then because if I stamp with the normal water-based dye ink, it will blend, even though I don't mean it to. Now, the important thing to know is with the Stays On, only use Stays on red rubber stamps. Do not use it on photopolymer stamps. So this has got solvent in it. It will damage your stamps. It might not damage them straight away. It might take time, but if you want to keep your photopolymer stamps going for a long time, don't use Stays On it. So, any questions? Let me have a slurp of my tea. So on today's cards, I'm using these dies. And it was Karen who's here today. It's Karen's fault I bought these. Because she said that she got them and they were brilliant. They're called deckled rectangles. And if I put it on there, you'll be able to see. Look how cool that is. It's kind of like you've torn the edge without the fluffy bits. It's really cool. So I am just going to do a super simple card. Where's my stamp? First up, so I'm going to do a sepia card. But I'm going to kind of do it in 2 ways. So I'm firstly going to stamp that down. And I'm going to use my water painter and just go over it gently. So I'm not sort of doing a full wash. I'm just doing a little bit. Ta-da. It's just picking up the colours. But I am leaving a bit of white space there. And then I'm actually just going to use a little bit to go outside. So I'm putting a little bit of extra water and a little bit of colour just at the outside. So actually what I'm doing is a bit, a bit of both of those first two. So I'm kind of extending it out without adding too much. There we go. And then, ooh, I've got a hair. Oh, that's weird. See if I can get it off. Can't be one of mine. It's not grey. Okay. And I'm going to stamp this down here. You're in my thoughts. Now I've stamped that down at the bottom away from the water because that will run. And I used this stamp set, Best Family Ever, which is the one I was talking about a couple of weeks ago, with all the family sentiments you're going to need, but also some really lovely little sentiments as a nice happy birthday there as well. So there we go. So that is done. I am going to stick it down. I'm not matting it. I'm not layering it. I am just, I'll squash that down. Just doing one layer. Really pretty, really lovely card. Takes seconds. Makes you feel like you're an artist. Okay, so I've got a couple of questions coming up. Hi, Ali. Thanks for joining. Janet's asking, what can you use instead of StazOn when colouring? Okay, so StazOn is what you need if you're using water, painters, or blender pens. If your image is photopolymer and you can't use StazOn, then use Memento Black and make sure it's really dry, or use any colour of ink and put clear embossing powder over the top of it. So basically what you're doing is you're sealing in the colour first. So yeah, so that's the best way around it. If you use these kinds of photopolymer stamps and use Versamark ink, which is a clear embossing ink, and then like a black powder or a silver or gold or a white one, then you can watercolor over the top of that. Thank you, Margaret and Jan. So Chris is saying that some of us struggle to decide the colors for shading when using watercolors. Yeah. So that's why the second card we're going to do, we're going to use these. So somewhere on my desk buried where's it gone? That's just crackers. Did I not bring it upstairs? I may yet have to go downstairs. Ugh. So I've die cut the pieces. Okay, I give up. Right, I'll be back in about 30 seconds. Found it. Okay. So this time I've got deckled rectangles, mats and layers. And I'm going to use Stays On ink. I'm just going to clean this first. Donna's saying, great, easy card to make. Love it. Yes, exactly. We love quick and easy. So okay, so a couple of things to know about Stays On ink. It smells of marzipan. That is the solvents in it. I love it. But it does say on the back, do not inhale. But it smells like marzipan and it's wonderful. The other thing to know with Stays On is there's a plastic coating, little plastic cover. Don't throw it away. It does say do not discard on it. But you need it to stop the solvent evaporating and store them upside down. So Stampin' Up inks, they are always stored upside down. So the ink is always on the surface, ready to go, but Stays On isn't. So store it like that and it'll be good. Okay, so look. So there we go. There's the image in Stays On. So I'm going to get my grid paper. And then I'm going to use the colours. Now, the thing I would say when you're using your watercolours is just to be light with your colours. There is so much pigment in these, you can easily go over the top and put way too much colour on, and it then kind of looks a bit garish. I would always stick with a limited palette. So looking at this image, I've got bits of mud, I've got trees, I've got grass and a fence. So I've actually got 2 greens, espresso for the mud and the fencing, and then balmy blue for the sky. So I'm going to use and shade with the 2 greens on the trees and the grass. Use the balmy blue for the sky, and the fence and the mud is going to be early espresso. And what I do is I put down all my colour first, then I watercolour wash it, and then I go back if I need to. But I'm just using the pencil and just putting a little bit lightly in. And I'll bring it up because I don't think you'll be able to see. Can you see how light that is? It's only a tiny bit there. And then on the fence posts, I'm just drawing a line. Now look, it's broken. That's why you need to have a pencil sharpener. Honestly, these pencils last for ages. So there we go. So that's the mud bits. Then I'm doing the grass in, this is Old Olive. So there's a little bit of grass in between those tracks and there. Again, I'll bring it up, let you see. It's really soft. And then I'm going to use the darker green, which is garden green, on the fir trees. Because I think fir trees are darker. And then I'm going to use a little bit of this garden green on some of the grasses, like so. And then going back with the Old Olive on the other trees. And then the balmy blue, I'm just doing kind of where I think the sky is going to be. So I'm just going to hold that up. And actually, you could just leave it like that. You don't have to do anything else with it if you don't want to. I am, because I just wanted to show you the watercoloring. So pick a color and do all of that color and then do the next color. Okay, so I'm going to do the brown first, and I'm going to start with the fence because that's kind of the deepest, strongest bit. And then there's like the muddy track. I'm hoping that you can see that. Oh, Lorraine. Yes, yes, yes. Lorraine says, does this stamp have potential for a Christmas card if you add a thin layer of white puff paint? Yes, 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 yes. Oh, white glitter. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Absolutely awesome. Okay, so I've done the brown bit. So now I'm going to do the sky. And I'm purposely avoiding the trees because I don't want to, get green in my sky. There we go. So you've got a little bit of blue there. Right, and then I'm going to go into the grass first. And because I've got the two colours of green, you'll see that it just kind of automatically shades itself. And that's, again, it's to do with the amount of pigment that is actually in there. It's just amazing. And then there's sort of the grassy bit in between the mud. And then that grassy bit there. Okay, so it's just coming to life. So now the last thing I'm going to do is the trees. And I'm going to do the Old Olive trees first, because that's kind of the lighter green. And then I'm going to go into the fir trees. And it's a watercolor, so it's kind of a suggestion of color. I'm not worried about going kind of beyond the image of the tree. It's just kind of giving a suggestion of the tree there. Now there's a tiny bit here, and I don't know whether you can see that. And there's a bit of grass and there's a bit of fence. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go into that using the water painter on the pencil and just go in there with a little bit more green. And there we go. Ali's saying Turner has nothing on me. Oh, bless you. So I love this. This is one of my of all the creative things that we can do, sitting here doing a little bit of colouring and a bit of watercolouring is just so easy and relaxing. And the thing is that Stampin' Up has artists that have beautifully drawn these images that we can colour in. I love it. So I'm going to happy birthday. No, evening evergreen. Now again, just be careful with are you stamping? Actually, I'm going to put it down here. Basically, because you don't want to put it over somewhere that's wet because it will bleed. And then all we need to do is figure out what we did with the Tombow. Oh dear. Oh well. Ah, found it. So then I've got my two deckled rectangles. So that's that one. And that's that one. And then we're going to put it onto the front of the card. Now, both of these cards, so this image is a landscape orientation image. Ooh. And I always now make the card so it opens like this. So it's actually it's a sheet of normal card, and we've cut it lengthways. Okay, because I find that if you do your card the other way and it's like a tent fold, often it does exactly what that's doing and it slides down. So there we go. So I think that is kind of a whistle-stop tour of watercolouring using pencils and water painters and blender pens and ink pads, stays on ink, all the things. Lorraine says she thinks she's going to have to place an order soon to get this celebration stamp. Exactly. So this stamp, there's two images. It's this one. It's called In the Country. So you've got the landscape image that I've used, and then this one, which is like going up to like a cottage door. It's really pretty. And there's flowers and all sorts of stuff there that you can colour in. But you don't have to colour it in. And I think that is one of the things for me that is so wonderful about our inks, because you can just do a watercolour wash or something like that. Deborah's really pleased that she's going to watch this on replay, and she's going to demonstrate these techniques as well. And that's awesome, isn't it? It's really wonderful when we can share this with others. That's why I'm here. So let's have a look. Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Anne. Margaret. Carton Co. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Donna. Janet. So Anne's saying it's a great refresher in techniques she hasn't used for years. Exactly. isn't it interesting that we tend to do the same things again and again and again, and then we move on to something else, and we forget. We forget the things that that we learnt. So, this is awesome. Oh, so Tina, I'm so pleased. She's got the stamp set and she hadn't figured out what she could do with it. So now she does that. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you, Roz. Thank you so much. Okay. Right. Well, I'm going to love you and leave you. I will see you back here next week. Same time, same back channel. I've always wanted to say that. 2:00, Facebook, YouTube. All of the products that you've seen today can be purchased. You can find them on my blog at www.inspiringinking.com. Celebration only runs to the end of February, so don't forget to place your order. And I will see you all again next week. Take care till then. Goodbye.